So, hi, everybody who's decided to join us. This is Tara McCallam with Beyond This Reality. And then Vasi is here today, and she is also what I want to call like a mompreneur, like a mom with her own business. And she is in the wellness area as well, where she helps people to move into a space of vitality through using things like Juice Plus, doTERRA, and intuitive body processes to awaken the space inside of us that truly wants to be aware and creating in this world and totally well and vital. So working with her is a real possibility. If you get to the end of this call or this conversation and you want to reach out to her, I'll have her share at the end of our conversation how you can contact her too. But today's conversation is one about conscious parenting. And Vasi and I work together in the intuitive body process. And she is a new mom of a 2-month-old gorgeous little being. And so she was asking some questions about what does it mean to be a conscious parent and what does it actually look like? Not just theory, but like what does it look like to be a conscious parent for a child? So I'll let you ask some questions and then we'll get into it. So hi.
Hi, thank you. So my first question is just, what is a conscious parent? What does that mean?
Sure. So I'm going to give you my definition. My definition is actually coming from a space of being, like actually knowing that your child is all-knowing, an infinite being that has the capacity, even from birth, really before birth, even in the womb, to manifest a life around them and to communicate. That they are power beyond what we think is possible. So like they're actually infinite inside a body. And being a conscious parent is meaning reacting with them as if they are that space rather than a complete blank slate that needs to be taught everything, guided, and told how to live life in a way that is productive. So rather than molding them into what we desire them to be, actually supporting them to be what they came here to be. So what that looks like is something different.
I love that.
Yeah.
And like, what is required of me? Like, what do I need to become or do in order to start this process, in order to be that conscious parent?
So the coolest thing is when we have children who come in and challenge us into that space, because some kids come in with a really strong spirit from the get-go. They actually invite us to remember that we also are not all the things that we think that we are. So to move out of the space of the brain and actually move into body and spirit awareness. So they awaken within us our being. And so your invitation or charge is to constantly move to a new space of default, which is being you. And a lot of people, they're so used to and have such a clearly grooved out default mode, which is pleasing others or finding what you're supposed to be, because that's how they've been taught from birth. Follow along. This is the path that you must take. And we want to show them that there's something different. But in order to do that, it means tapping into your body awareness all the time and into your spirit awareness. And the easiest way to do that is to ask questions. So I just did a funny video earlier to actually illustrate this. So I want to show you how we come from our brain space and how we can turn it into coming from our body and spirit space. Okay. So will you do the exercise with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're both going to close our eyes. All right. So with your eyes closed, describe what you see.
Nothing.
Right. So is it light or dark?
Dark.
It's dark. Okay. So without opening your eyes, use your brain to imagine what it would be like if you opened your eyes.
Bright and light.
Okay. And not just bright and light, right? Are you starting to imagine what the room looks like around you?
Yes.
Okay. So what we're actually doing, and we're gonna open our eyes for a second so I can explain this piece. What we're actually doing is we're going into recall. Okay. So we start to create the room around us, what it would be like to be in a bright room. And then we start to recall what the room looked like. But it starts to warp, and it's not actually real. It's all imagined. And so when people come from a brain space, that is actually what we're doing. So we're going into recall, and we recreate something that isn't actually real, and that it becomes warped. And so we're not actually living a fulfilled life. We're living this imaginary life all the time where we're putting positive spins on things, right? We're not actually taking the power out of it and finding fulfillment. We're not experiencing it. We're imagining. And of course, the difference between having your eyes closed and imagining the light, and actually now with your eyes open and having the light, experiencing it and being able to look around and describe the room, it has a different fullness to it. One is empty. Right? So when your eyes are closed and you're doing that, like, you're not experiencing it. It's not full. When you open your eyes and you're experiencing it, it's full bodied. Like, you're in the light.
Right.
You don't have to think about it. You're just in it. You're experiencing. So if I say to you, like, okay, so go up, get up and, get something from your room, you go, okay, no problem. I got that. Right? But with your eyes closed, if I asked you to do it, you would struggle.
Right.
And that's what coming from the brain is like, because you're struggling to remember what you should do, how you should do it, and everything else. And so we want to move to the space of body awareness where we're just experiencing life, and we just go, oh yeah, okay, no problem. Like, because I see the path, because I'm illuminated, and so it's not fake. It's, just like closing your eyes and opening your eyes isn't. So how do we actually move into the space as parents where we're awake?
Right.
Where we're not doing things like every book out there says we should, every expert says we should, or how our parents did, or we're not recalling. And that is constantly being in the space of asking ourselves to be awake, to ask our body to open up its eyes. So I guess the greatest way of knowing when you're not is when you feel pain, depression, or sadness, or even anger. So many people call those like negative emotions. I call those indicators or invitations to connect again. They're just the doorbell, the knock on the door. Hey, you've gone into your brain. You've contracted all of who you are and all your awareness up into this space, and you've closed your eyes. So it's telling you, open your eyes. And so this is the way that you open your eyes. Because obviously, like, people are going around and they're like, dude, my eyes are open. Hello, right? But your internal energetic eyes and your awareness isn't, and your spirit and your body awareness isn't. So you just move into question. Open-ended, expansive question. And I want to show like the difference. So I do this all the time. I'm like, this camera is too little, but most of us are like this, and we're asking from this space, like, what do I do? I don't understand. And it's really from the brain. And so we want to move to a space where we're open, and we know, not just from our body awareness, but from the universe, that everything is for us. So you're like, okay, so what is it? What's available to me, right? What's available to me that I haven't thought of yet as another possibility, another option in this situation where I'm freaking out? Like, what is available? And then all of a sudden, like all these things start to come, and they come at you possibly in 10 minutes, sometimes from a phone call, sometimes from a video. Sometimes your body just goes, oh, duh, go do this. And it may seem unrelated. But when we start to listen to that body that gives us a totally new suggestion and follow it, we find that we're doing things and we're following the energy, and it starts to expand our lives, and we start to live from that space. So it really is all about what choices we have as beings, and then how we show up as parents. So if we're doing that for ourselves, we're going to have a lot easier time constantly moving into, I don't know, there's like a way I want to say that we're asking questions, because many people ask questions that they've already answered. Like, so if we ask a kid, like, your baby is 2 months. Oh, are you crying because you need a diaper change? Right? Like that. I mean, not that you can't ask that question, but a lot of times it's not really a question. It's like, you need a diaper change, so I'm going to change your diaper. And then you get and you do her diaper, and it had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So we're not actually asking with an expectation of a response from someone other than ourselves, right? So having that openness begins to create this dynamic relationship, first of all, with your own body, that it's going to give you totally new answers that you never expected possible. Follow them. And then also from your daughter, like, ask questions. And the more that you ask, the clearer you'll be when the answers come. Be careful in this process that when you get answers, that you don't just throw them out, because it totally can't be that. Like, it's no way that, you know, she's asking to move in front of the window so she can see outside. She doesn't care what's out there. She can barely see. She's 2 months old. Like, she can only see here. That's what all the books say, right? I don't know what it is really. But, you know, what if she defies all the books? You know? Or one that I hear all the time for parents is, all the books say that my kid needs this much sleep, and this is what needs to happen, and this is when they need to sleep, right? Instead of actually checking in, because every body is dynamically and divinely made, and it all has its own requirements. And when it is an infinite soul, are you willing to ask, where do you get your energy from? Right? Because she may get her energy in different ways. And there may be times where it's crucial for her to be involved in something, even at 2 months, because she already knows that she's a contribution to the conversation.
So where's the line where you're asking these questions and the answers they're giving you is not for their best well-being? Let's say, like, they're fighting you to eat dinner. They don't want to eat. And what do? Do you just not let them eat? Do you let them go to bed? You know, what's a solution as far as, like, struggling? Because I know a lot of parents struggle to get their kids to eat.
Yeah.
Just anything. Well,
first of all, I would say, so is your fighting actually creating what you desire? Because it's amazing. These pint-sized little people, man, they can turn a whole family upside down, and they will make sure that they don't eat. You know, you try to put a spoon up to their mouth, they will throw it up. You know, even if you get it down their throat, they'll throw it up. Like, they are going to let you know that they are large and in charge. So remove resistance. So if they don't eat one night, okay, so you're choosing not to eat. Don't eat. So you want to eat 2 things on your plate. We're going to bed then.
Yeah.
You know? And see you in the morning. They're
So
going to eat tomorrow.
Not fighting back and forth, just letting it be.
Just let it be. Yeah. And that doesn't mean like, okay, there's addictive foods out there, right? Now, I don't have a resistance to my kids eating sugar. Like they eat sugar, but they're not going to eat sugar all the time. And I play a lot with like telling them, I play with reverse psychology a lot. And a lot of it is because I like to just play with my kids and put them in charge. But I'll be like, you absolutely cannot have any more cuties. You can't.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so my youngest son is like, right now, I swear to God, he's a cutie addict. And he's like, I'm on 5 at a time right now. Tomorrow I might be up to 6, you know? And so he doesn't even realize that he isn't going for sugary snacks or, you know, snacks that are like, have empty calories.
Yeah.
Like he just thinks like they like to play with being in their power. So how do you let them be in their power and still guide them, right?
Right.
So if they like to fight, bring them fight without like really fighting. And I used to do it where I would cook a meal that for sure, especially Charlie. Charlie's like, he has things that he really likes and doesn't want to deviate. And so I would cook whatever for him, but then I would eat something totally different, like a bowl of vegetables with rice or a spinach salad or, you know, whatever it is. And I'd be over there and not saying a thing. I'm loving it. I'm the energy of it. Like, I'm not being like, this is so good, you know, like, because they get what you're trying to manipulate.
Yeah.
I just love it myself. And I am telling you, the amount of times I've had to give away half of my dinner, and I do it in protest, right? Because they love the protest. They want to kind of rile you up. And so it's a fun protest, but I'm like, dude, I totally made this for me. I didn't make it for you. You know, you keep stealing my dinner. And he's like, yeah, yeah, I do. You know, and so he's like so proud of himself, and he doesn't realize that half the time I make extra. So because I already know he's going to steal what I've got and, you know, and eat even more, which that's the way that I tended to introduce new things, is through playful resistance, you know, telling them they can't have. And I did the same thing with like sleeping in his own bed. Both my kids like love to be close to me. And I was like, you need to forever stay in my room, like forever and ever and ever, like always. And he was like, Mom, I really think it's about time that I just sleep in. I really like my own room. I'm like, no, please don't do it. Like, what am I going to do? And he was like, honestly, you'll be okay. You'll be okay without me, you know? And so it's just like having fun, letting them realize that. And then also, like, you know, there's still times where they're not feeling good and they'll come in my room, or they'll be like, just stay in here until I'm asleep, you know, and then you're in there for an hour. Gosh, I don't get to do it forever. Cool, rock on. I'll lay here for an hour. Oops, I laid here for 2 hours because I fell asleep after half an hour, you know, whatever it is. So, like, how much fun can you have being and following the energy instead of having a bunch of rules?
Yeah.
You know.
And what happens, we touched on it a little bit, but like when I grew up, I felt, let's say, not good enough or not smart enough. And how do you not bring in those past hurts into your child? Because it's a lot of it is you don't realize you're doing it or saying things that are bringing them down, or, you know, not encouraging them, just not on purpose, but just in a way, like, let's say they're crying and you're like, stop crying. Why are you crying? You don't need to cry. Like constantly bring them down. Whereas instead of saying, what are you feeling? What's wrong? Instead of, giving them the opportunity to explain what's going on, how do you not bring in things that you struggle with into your child?
So it doesn't happen automatically. Honestly, it does not happen automatically. You have to, well, you get to, but if you really want that, you have to commit yourself to constant expansion. Me personally, I believe that the body holds cellularly a lot of past trauma. So it's in the cellular memory. And unless you're getting energy work or using essential oils that actually expand, see what it does, it doesn't just remove the toxins and the darkness and the trauma. What it actually does is it brings the molecules back to the state of wellness. So it replenishes them, which just melts away. Most people go into everything about like, how do I remove these things? It's not about removing. When you become your wholeness again, everything melts and transforms and actually supports you. So you may still have all the memories from your past, but how they transform through you becomes totally different because you have your eyes open. Right? If we don't use things like essential oils and, great eating and intuitive body processes, our cells and our spirits stay deflated with heaviness on them. And it's like we have our eyes closed and we're trying to show up for our kids in this amazing way that we never did before. And we're stumbling. And of course we're going to. So it really requires that we're in a constant state of replenishment. Nourishment, I know, is one of your major words. Moving out of neglect into nourishment. So the way that you do that is creating new patterns in your life. For me, the people who work with me, and then for myself, I constantly get energetic body work. I constantly am that crazy person who talks to myself. It may not always be out loud, but if my brain is too loud, I do actually say things out loud to myself so my body hears. Otherwise, sometimes I just get in the monkey mind. I use essential oils all the time. I mean, before we got on this call, I used Slim and Sassy, which you and I both know I don't like the name of it, but it's filled with citrus oils and then also cinnamon, which just brings you back to your light and your heat, and then also brings back the space of natural joy so that you're not clouded by other things. And so it actually moves into every cell and reminds them to be whole.
So just making that conscious effort to break those cycles and break that generational things that have been passed down.
Sure. So it's not even about the conscious choice to break the cycles. It's more of, because then you're constantly going around breaking and your whole effort is on, okay, so what is another one that I need to look at? What's another one? And so you're staying in that darkness, right? You're staying in the dark room. Instead, you're looking at, gosh, what do I want to create with my daughter today? And she starts crying and you just go, gosh, I wonder how she would like me to respond to her. Because, you might even think to yourself, okay, so in my past, I wish somebody would have asked me what I was feeling and thinking. And then so you show up that way with her because what you're doing is trying to change the generational pattern. And so you show up and you ask her questions, but she doesn't actually want to answer any questions. So you're breaking a generational pattern, but you're actually not showing up for her in the way that she's asking. And the only way we know is to ask. So, and people go, okay, but that's impossible because she's 2 months or she's 2 and she's not going to be able to explain to me. Just ask. So we do this thing where we think about asking instead of asking. And one of the ways you can play with it is this. Anytime you're going around and you like somebody asks you a question, you go, I don't know. Immediately say, but if I did know, I wonder what I would say right now. Just in doing that, all of a sudden, your whole body goes, here's the answer. Because you do know. Mm. And so the same thing, if she could speak to me right now, I wonder what she would say. And watch, because her being speaks. And I don't care who you are on the face of this earth. Everyone can read energy and read minds all the time. Everyone does it all the time. Now, some people have greater capacities for it. Some people are taken out by it, but everybody does it. If you ask any man, like, he knows whether a woman's interested or not before her body language, right? If you ask, like, because I like to talk about men because they're a little bit more resistant to what we call woo-woo, because this stuff is not woo-woo. If you ask them that when they go to work, they know who's for them, who's against them. If they go into a board meeting, they know, not from body language, because people are really good at pretending. They know because we give off the energy. And we're all actually pretty great at reading energy. Oop, did I lose you? Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah. So play with it more. True.
And then I think one of the biggest things is what happens if we don't decide to embody this way of parenting. Like, how is it going to affect, like, let's say now she's 2 months old. How is it going to affect her 10, 20, 30 years from now if I don't implement this way, if I'm not consciously aware of her and her well-being, and just basically not be on autopilot. I think we're just so busy every day, and we all have so much things going on that we don't really spend the time. I think it requires time to be consciously parenting, more time than not. So how will it affect her if I don't implement this now?
So everything has an accumulation effect. Everything does. So if you're on autopilot, you're going to accumulate a life where she's going to watch and she's going to learn and she's going to go on autopilot. And you aren't going to be able to really, first of all, we don't ever get to control anyone, but she's going to go on autopilot with everyone. Tell me what to do, show me how to please, because I want to stay in protection mode, right? Yeah. I don't want harm. And so if she's coming from her mind, which is autopilot, she's going to do that with every teacher, with every friend, with every influence, with marketing. And so that is going to accumulate. Now people freak out because it's like, okay, well, I'm whatever age and I've accumulated lifetimes of stuff. So how do I move out of that? It doesn't have to take however many years you got here to change it. But I would say it's not even time. It's just choice. Because it's really, I don't want you to take time out of your life to become it. It's in your life. It's every single time that you feel depressed, angry, sad, triggered, pain, anything. You, instead of making yourself wrong, you go, thanks so much, body, for reminding me I just contracted. Like, what invitation is available to me that I'm not aware of, and how is it that I can expand? So same thing, she's crying. What are you telling me? What invitation do you have for me that, like, I can show up for you? Not to make you not cry, but because you're communicating with me, right? So it does take some time, in the fact that there might be some things that you need to do to support yourself. But the greatest support that we do is in every single moment. It's while you're in the car. It's while you're in an argument with somebody. I just had somebody else say, she was frustrated because every time she gets in an argument with somebody, she feels like she loses her power and she goes really silent. And I was like, how awesome is that? That your body is so aware that in the moment of the argument, it's needless and useless to speak because nobody's listening. So your body shuts you off so that you're able to speak when somebody else is actually open.
Right.
And then you speak not from a desire to win, but a desire to share space. I was like, what if that's a superpower of yours? And she was like, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
And so it's an amazing space, because how many people have you been around where, like, you know, the one person says something and then the other person clams up, or the other person starts back, and it's just rah, rah, rah. You didn't get anywhere, and then both people go away and like destroyed each other. You might feel better, like, well, I got it off my chest, what I wanted to say, but you didn't actually create the life you desire to live. So It's not about defense and making somebody else wrong. It's about really owning a different way of being that is not very often reflected in this world.
I love that story of your son when he got the haircut. Can you tell us how you parented him through what happened?
Sure. So I'll just back up to say, I mean, he came into this world owning his own voice and his own style and everything else like that. But sometimes we own things unconsciously, and we need to move it into consciousness. And so he was in 4th grade at the time, and he got a certain haircut in, I can't even remember what it was. And it was different from everybody else. And somebody who was his friend teamed up with somebody else and really became a bully. And they made fun of his hair, told him he was stupid. It was, you know, and he was constantly tripping my son, and they were both working together to like make my son feel terrible. Well, the reality is nobody actually makes us feel terrible. It's our response to whatever they're saying or doing that actually does that to ourselves. So it took him a while to tell me, because his natural way of being is he goes into silence and he doesn't want to talk. So, you know, here I am, I'm aware as a mom that my son is going through something. And so I don't think I ever explained this. Like, in the period of time, which was a little while, first I just tried to get him to tell me, and he wouldn't tell me, kind of like the eating thing. They're not going to do it if they don't want to. And then I stopped asking him verbally after a couple days. I mean, it took me a couple days to realize I need to start speaking to his infinite being. So in a totally different room, like, it was almost like I was praying to the soul part of him, saying, you know, help me to know how I can show up for you. Help me. And so it was probably the next day after that, he came up to me and he's like crying, and he's like, Mom, I need to tell you something. And he just said, you know, these boys are making fun of me, tripping me and everything. And I said, well, what's it about? And he's like, really, it's about my hair and my style. And I said, okay. So, you know, everything in me went into Mama Bear. Like, I really wanted to go to school and talk to the teachers and, you know, like talk to them about bullying and talk to the parents and everything else. But I knew that I can't do that forever. So the only way to truly empower my son was to ask him how he wanted to handle it. So I did. I was like, okay, so would you like to get your hair cut so that he'll accept you? And he looked at me like I was growing horns out my head or something. He's like, no, of course I don't want to do that. And so I was like, okay, so do you want to keep the same haircut and continue on the way that it's going? He's like, well, no. And I said, so what if there's another option? Like, what if you go into school? Like, would you like to go into school and own your haircut? And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I mean, walk in there and be like, I chose this haircut, and you can say whatever you want. You can totally hate it, but I love it, you know? And I'm like, that's being the energy of that. And so he did that. And like, it was so wild because 2 days after that, he came home and he was like, you'll never believe what happened. And, and he's like, they're not bullying me. They're not doing anything like this. It was actually the next week that he came home. And he's like, and the one boy went and got the same haircut. Can you believe it? He went and got the same haircut, Mom. And I was like, when we stand in our power, and most people look at power as in force. Power is not force. It's just being ourselves, right? Just being without apology, without expecting somebody else to change their opinion, just being ourselves. Many times what happens is we invite others to realize they have choice too. And that's the other piece that I shared with him is I was like, what you don't know at this point, I think he was like, I don't know, 9, is that not everybody has the same parents. Some people have parents at home that don't give them choice. I said, you're really lucky. Like you have a mom and a dad who constantly come to you and say, what's your style? What kind of haircut would you like to have? You want to be like when he was 7, he was doing the mohawk. Every day he was in there doing his own hair and doing them all and supporting his expression. I said, not every parent does that. Some parents are in the car with their kids pointing at other kids, parents, whatever, and saying, ooh, isn't that terrible? Isn't that terrible? And so the kid does that too. And I said, so you need to be grateful for the fact that you have choice, and not everybody has that feeling inside. So once he owned that he had choice, all of a sudden this kid is actually going up to his parents and asking for something different and being his friend. So that doesn't always happen, that people become your friend, but it can. They can transform in front of you in the space of who you are. And that's from a 9-year-old.
Wow.
Awesome. And now, dude, he's definitely got his, allowing him to choose and me not telling him what to do means that in every circumstance, he actually knows he has his own back and that he has complete choice. So there's some things, because he's in middle school now, and I didn't know how insane middle school is these days.
Yes.
And there's some things that other kids are doing around him that I wouldn't have thought he would even be subject to already. And he's like, why would I choose that? And I was like, why would you do that? You tell me, right? Like, I don't want to tell you why you shouldn't. I want you to tell me why you wouldn't want to. Because it's better for him to be in his space than me to go, these are all the things that could happen. When he says it from his standpoint and he knows, then he's strong in it. Nobody can waver, like make him waver, because it's his. Right? And that's how, when you come from a space of really looking at your kids and supporting, they stand in their own power in a way that transforms the rest of their lives. So.
And I feel like that requires us as parents to, because when we let them choose and we give them the choice to choose, and it doesn't seem right or it doesn't, look right to other people, we have to be strong and not care what people think. Let's say like you're giving them the choice to dress themselves and they're putting on this crazy outfit, doesn't match, it doesn't even make sense, and automatically some people might think, oh my God, you can't wear that, that looks horrible. But
Right.
then that's like ripping away their in a way their self-esteem, because they think it looks so good.
Right. It rips away a few things. It rips away their ability to choose, their ability to express, their ability to be unique, right? All these things. And all to what? Please other people's way so that we can all be alike.
Right.
And it's like, it's not just that, because as kids get older, it's those things, and it's their body awareness. So my youngest son, he's super sensitive about a lot of things. And when he would go from summer into winter, he could not handle pants touching his feet. So literally, there was probably 2 years where he would go to school in floods, like pants that were too short. And I was like, I'm sure everybody just thinks like I don't have enough money to buy my kids the right clothes. You know, I don't really care. You can think whatever you want to think. This is what supports my child to be in himself. If he doesn't have to be freaked out by his pants hitting his feet and causing him a disturbance, he can be himself, right? He can be full. So whatever you got to think out there, rock on.
Yeah.
Think what you want. I am not so wavering that like that's going to topple me over, and he could care less. I know better. I don't need to prove to anybody what I can provide for my kids, right?
Yeah.
You know, and gosh, how many designers, you know, clothing designers have come out of a parent that allowed their child to have expression.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't know how you're stifling their ability to create their future by making them fit in. So yeah, it's fun. And, you know, it is a constant challenge or invitation to come from this space, because it really means that you get to be present every day, to be in the moment, you know, because how they were yesterday, they might not be today. And constantly being in the question for yourself as well. They will demand, if you want to raise a conscious child, they will demand that you are conscious. You cannot be an unconscious parent and do this with ease. Right. So it's like your greatest invitation to yourself, your greatest gift to yourself, to rise into what you always hoped was possible. And now it's like, let's do it. Like, whether I have doubts, fears, limitations, whatever, I got to show up. I'm showing up anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Because we don't need to have all the answers. The answers are from the past. When we're present, the true answers will come. So it's a wild ride to be a conscious parent, I will tell you.
So what I got out of this is consciously parenting is giving them choice, giving them power, and making them feel as equal. Whereas unconsciously parenting is telling them what to do, bringing them down, controlling their life, where in reality, we're all here on our own journey to do things that we don't know what we're meant to do.
Yeah. And watch. I mean, as you know, you have a 2-month-old. She's probably transformed your house already. So if you really think as a parent that you're controlling a kid, you're kidding yourself. Yeah. We are here to support another infinite being to learn how to use this body to our advantage, right? And so we are here to support, because, gosh, in the body, they can't do a whole lot of things yet. So we are here to support them and not to leave them alone, but to constantly connect to that infinite being that's inside there, that is communicating, is directing from pre-birth, really.
Yeah. And making them aware of what every choice they're making will do for them or not do for them.
Yeah. Ask questions rather than telling them. Like, what did, you know, so you're choosing to go to bed. Okay. Don't make it like, you know, you're going to be hungry in an hour and I'm not going to feed you. You just go, all right, we're going to bed now. We'll see what this creates. See you in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, and then asking, like, if they wake up at midnight and they're crying because they're hungry, it's like, well, why are you hungry? Right? Let them realize, because they didn't eat. Well, Is it fun to get up at midnight? Find out, because they might be like, yeah, it totally is. Right? And it's like, but mommy's grumpy. Do you like that? Because mommy needs sleep, whatever it is. And it's like,
or at midnight, we only eat broccoli.
Right? No kidding. The only thing that's available in the house right now is exactly broccoli. That's it. So if you want that, that's okay. That's our midnight snack. Whatever, like have fun with it. And, I'll eat broccoli with you because now I'm up, whatever it is, so that you're just allowing them to find out what their choices create.
Yeah.
It's slightly different than like, oh, your choice created this consequence, right? No, it's, oh, wow, interesting. It created that. Do I like that? No, I would like to change. If I eat at 7:00 or whatever, 5:00, my kids eat super early, I get chicken and, whatever, cauliflower and, all these different things. And they're like, oh, I like that much better. All right, well, that's what we get then. Isn't that so much fun? So what would you like to choose? Up to you. We can keep getting up at midnight, but we might run out of broccoli if they like broccoli, and it might end up becoming lima beans.
Yeah, something they don't like.
Right? So, yeah, that kind of thing. So, yes. Can you share with people how they can contact you in case they are interested in any of your services?
Yeah. My website, my Instagram, my Facebook, all of the same is Vasiliki Benjamin, my full name and last name. And any of those sources I can be reached at. Cool.
And I'll put it in the comments below too, so that people can see how to spell Vasiliki. And then if you would like to follow me at all, it's on beyondthisreality.com. And Facebook is Tara McCallam, CLC. So certified life coach. And thanks for coming on today. And hopefully we can do this again and just get into even more different experiences of how to show up as a conscious parent and really just a conscious being, really living from a space of tapping into our superpowers and doing it with all our capacities. So
awesome. I would love maybe if we share this and we get feedback from other parents asking like different scenarios they're going through. Maybe you can help them, something like that where we can give them conscious ways of dealing with it.
So cool. So let's ask. I know you just asked, like, anybody who has any specific circumstances that you would like some advice on how to move into conscious parenting and to stop the accumulation of autopilot and to move into a new space and actually raise conscious children, because it's not just about conscious parenting, it's about raising conscious children who are here to take over and be. Please let us know, and we would love to respond to those. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have an awesome day.
You too.